Hello YouTube, I'm Toby. Today we're going to upgrade my home theater PC. Now this PC has been longing for an upgrade. It's currently running on a dual-core A4-6300 CPU with integrated Radeon graphics. To upgrade it, I have acquired an Athlon X4 845 quad-core processor and an Nvidia 9600 GT. They're not the world's fastest parts, but I'm sure that the system will be, if not a little better after this upgrade. Startup times in the system is unlikely to change much since I did not buy an SSD yet. However, sometime in the future I probably will have to switch out this old 2.5-inch hard drive for something better, preferably an SSD actually. Before we get to upgrading the PC, let us do some quick benchmarking. I don't yet have Steam on the system, and I've done very little gaming on the A4 processor. But it did not perform very well. On 8GB of RAM, the A4-6300 can just barely play CSGO, with many frame drops. Cinebench R15 saw a horrible score of 128 CB. For some reason, Cinebench saw the A4 as a single-core processor with 2 threads. I find this a little weird. Now we finally get to upgrading the system. I first had to remove the back panel to get to the 6-pin power connector hiding in the back. I also decided to remove the extra hard drive holder just for easier access. Next I removed the cheap CPU fan I had installed. There's really no reason for me to use this fan. I just like the way it looks better than the original, and thus the A4 CPU is exposed. Time to clean it a little. Before we can install the new quad-core CPU, we first have to take it out of the box it came in. I also took out the cooler, which has a very red cooling fan on it. I wanted to use the old fan, but I wasn't really sure whether this had enough cooling power. The heatsink that came in the box has pre-applied thermal paste on it, and this is why you don't see me adding any new. Installing the GT 9600 was no issue. It pretty much just slid right into position. All that was left to do was plug in the 6-pin connector and taking care of the cable mess. Let's turn the system on and see what happens. Well, it seems to work fine. The screen isn't properly calibrated though. This is no issue, as all I have to do is install the proper Nvidia drivers, and this system should be able to do the rest. I finally managed to get the drivers installed. It took me a little longer than I expected due to a Java update, but the system is running great now. Just for kicks, I decided to install Steam to properly benchmark the system. First up is the Counter-Strike Source benchmarking tool. I had all the settings set to high, and in the end we scored 191 frames per second, which is not bad. I also decided to run the Half-Life 2 Lost Coast benchmarking tool, which was also set to high settings. The score was 159 frames per second, which I am positively surprised by. Counter-Strike Global Offensive also ran at high settings. I did not install an FPS counter. However, the game seemed to run just fine on the system. To stress the system a little, I also ran the Resident Evil 6 benchmarking tool. I ran the test at medium settings, and in the beginning the test ran at 33 frames per second, but by the end this has dropped to around 10. And the total score of this test was 2829, which is playable, but not enjoyable. Finally, let us revisit the Cinebench. Our final score was 311 CB, which is over double the A4-6300. I was honestly not expecting such a jump in performance, but this is awesome. I really hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you very much for watching.